What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about if Bloodborne 2 will be the next game we get from Software. So now I want to talk a bit about this long-rumored game that obviously made its debut on the PS4. It was a PS4 exclusive, a Sony and mixed in with From Software, the IP of Bloodborne. Very, very much similar to the Dark Souls. And really, a lot of those games don't have the same kind of feel to it in terms of being extremely, extremely difficult. Now, Bloodborne was a phenomenal game. I think it's easily one of the best PlayStation exclusives out there, and people really, really loved it. I mean, it was basically a Dark Souls kind of game, exclusive for PlayStation. So this was a big win for Sony back in the day. I played it. I loved it a lot. I'm not very good at these games. I never beat any of these games just because I'm not very good at them. But I really did enjoy Bloodborne. It was a faster paced game, and all of this kind of leads into, will we ever get a Bloodborne 2? And I made a video talking about this, last E3, I believe actually E3 of 2017, I had talked about if we would get an announcement for Bloodborne 2. Maybe even the year before that I talked about as well. When Sekiro Shadows Die Twice was first shown off, people thought it was going to be Bloodborne 2. That's what a lot of people thought. Now, From Software has become very adamant, and they've talked about how they don't really like making the same game, like in a franchise. They don't like making sequels. They'd rather do new IPs. It makes sense that obviously they did Dark Souls, and then they did Bloodborne. Now, they were working on Bloodborne at the same time they were working on Dark Souls 2, and a lot of people have complained that Dark Souls 2 is the weakest of the Dark Souls games. So it seems that when that company stretches themselves out and try and makes two games at once, really only one gets the absolute best treatment. I think that you could argue is the case for any game developer. If you split a game developer up, you may be giving one game a higher kind of ceiling over the other, just because of just factors of people working on it. When it comes to Bloodborne 2, it's something that's long been rumored, it's something that's long been talked about, but it's something that's long been said that as of right now, nothing's happened. We don't know anything about a possible Bloodborne 2. From Software has never said that they'll make a Bloodborne 2. Sony hasn't commented on anything. So, we're kind of all just left wondering, will that be the next game? It's very possible. I see where they're coming from with the whole that they don't want to kind of double down and make sequel games. They kind of would just want to make brand new games. And with this game, Sekiro, and with it being a multi-console game, just like the Dark Souls games, maybe if they were to make a second game of any franchise, maybe they would make one off this. Maybe it depends on sales. I know Bloodborne sold extremely, extremely well, and if they made a Bloodborne 2 and it was Sony exclusive, they'd be lined up. There would be a lot of people lined up to buy this game. They'd have no problem selling the games, and they've had a relationship with Sony for a very, very long time. It's one of the mistakes that Sony, I think, has ever made in not buying them. Sony has let a lot of developers slip through their fingers when they should have bought them and roped them into their first-party studios. And some of the biggest ones I can think of are Quantic Dream. I can think of Insomniac. I really think they should have locked up Insomniac when they had the chance with Resistance, but then they did technically get him back with Spider-Man. And then one of the biggest ones right in there with those two, I believe, is From Software. They made Demon's Souls, and that's a Sony-owned IP. So is Bloodborne. Obviously, it's like kind of co-owned, but Sony has the rights to that name. And so they've worked before, and Sony should have scooped them up right then and there. But then From Software went on to obviously make Dark Souls and explode. Okay, they took all the things they learned from Demon's Souls, and Dark Souls exploded, and now From Software is what we know them as, and that's one of, in terms of their genre of games, maybe the best makers of those kind of games. So when it comes to a Bloodborne 2, I would assume Sony would really, really want that to happen. I know fans of Bloodborne would really, really want that to happen, but it's From Software's ultimate decision. They don't have to go through Sony, and so they don't have to make a Bloodborne 2. They can make a brand new game. They can make a Shadows Die Twice 2. They can make a Dark Souls 4 for all they want. It's up to them what they do. And and in terms of when, really, we're not going to see another game in general from Software until the next generation of consoles. 2020 is it. This is right now where we're at currently in gaming. We're at the very, very end of this console's life cycle. We're going to jump into the next console generation. And so if you were to get a Bloodborne 2, I'm sure Sony would like it, and I'm sure Sony would like it to come out within the first, I'd say, year of the PS5. At this point, though, I don't think you'd be giving them enough time. You'd probably want to give them 3-ish years to make a Bloodborne 2 if, say, nothing has been started, and they would be starting it right now, right at the end of this game, you probably want to give them at least 3 years, and that would put you a year and a half after the PS5 comes out, if it comes out in the fall of 2020. So they're probably already past when they would want to have Bloodborne 2 out. But again, it's not necessarily their decision, and that's on Sony. But Bloodborne 2, I would really, really love that game to come out. I would love to play that game. Bloodborne is a very special game, and it took, in my opinion, I like it more than Dark Souls because of that feel, of the faster pace to it. And I know it's obviously it's still very, very difficult, but I like the gothic feel of it. There were so many things I really did enjoy about Bloodborne, and I'm not very good at it. I only played 5, 6, 7 hours of the game, and I couldn't advance. But I'd watch my friend Nick play a bunch of it, and I know a lot of people that like the Dark Souls franchise absolutely love Bloodborne as well. So I'm really, really hoping, I'm crossing my fingers, we can get a Bloodborne 2, but we'll just have to see from Software. We'll have to see what they end up saying down the line. I'm recording this. Maybe people have asked them, but when I looked this up right before I started recording. There had been no articles about people that have interviewed them and said, what's your next game, or is there anything you're working on next? None of those articles, in terms of when I'm recording this video, are out. Maybe we'll get that over the next couple weeks. We'll probably get sales numbers for Shadows Die Twice, and then maybe we'll start to hear that, yeah, maybe they're making 2 games. Maybe they're making a Bloodborne. Obviously, we're going to have to read in between the lines because they're not going to tell us what they're making. But we'll have to see what hints we get out of From Software. So guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think we're going to get a Bloodborne 2? Do you think that's the next game From Software is going to make, or could it be a completely different game? And what would you want to see from Bloodborne 2? When do you think it would come out? Let me know all those answers in the comments below, and make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Hit the bell icon so you guys are notified when all of these videos go up. And thank you, as always, for watching this video. I hope to talk to you on the next one.